This podcast contains strong language, sexual references, and terrible advice. When life gets you down, your car just won't start. Agony Art. It's time for Agony Art. If you've reached a dead end, you're not sure what to do. Agony Art. Well, Agony Art is for you. At times life is grand, you've got the world in your hands. Then somehow you drop that ball. Instead of watching it fall, give Agony Art a call.
Welcome to Agony Art, the Agony Art podcast in which we try to solve your problems, not with our own wisdom, but instead by telling you how those problems were solved in the great art of our age. Or, failing that, just by recommending books, films and music for you to enjoy. My name is Aaron. My name is Liam. Oh no! The day we never thought would come has come, and my name is Carl.
No, I always thought your name was Carl.
It's just transpired. I know my name is Carl.
I never thought he'd tell us.
Yeah, I've had an alter ego, just podcast man.
Before it was Carl with a C, now it's Carl with a K.
I'm our resident marauding movie maverick. And I'm joined by Aaron, our bouncing, bolshy book bison.
Bison. I like it a lot.
And
Did
Liam.
you say bulgy?
I'm just really happy to be here, all right?
And Liam, our magnificent, monogamous.
True.
He's very faithful.
Music mango.
I do like mango.
Yeah. Say hello, lads.
Hello.
All right. How you finding it in the presenter's chair, Carl?
With a script, it's easier than I thought it'd be.
Yeah. Did you think that we were making it up every week?
I
Off the
just
top of
thought
our
you were,
heads?
you two were just like so great, so such pros.
Are you feeling as stressed out as I usually do?
Not at all.
Have you spent the whole week between last episode and today shitting yourself?
I've been hosting all week.
Good morning, wife. Welcome to breakfast time.
Hello, colleagues. Now, before we begin, I want to make it very clear that we're not here to solve real problems. All of our submissions are 100% stamped, trivial or fictional pickles, and our advice almost should never be followed. We're really here to have fun. We've laughed a lot already. And hopefully you have too. So if you're having a real hard time...
We're not saying goodbye yet, Carl. So thanks for listening. See you next week.
I really like this though. It feels like one of those old school kids programs, you know?
We hope you have too. What's the most fun you've had today?
Up, down, around and swoosh. If you're having a real hard time, please check out our website for guidance on who to turn to. That's agonyartpodcast.com. So now we've got that out of the way, let's get on with it. Here's our first problem of the day. Someone stole my coffee mug at work. I know it wasn't the cleaners because I know them all personally and I trust them more than my co-workers. I need to find that mug because it was the perfect size and shape for my strange little face. But I need to be sly about it because I don't want to give these fuckers the satisfaction of knowing how bothered I am about this. How do I uncover the culprit? Have you experienced a mug stealing?
Well, before we get to that, have you ever had a mug that is the perfect size and shape for your face?
Never. I've never had that privilege.
What does it mean?
That is a good point because it implies that you drink with your entire face, doesn't it?
You put it over your eyes.
There are some issues, like when I have had liquid vestibules that are too small. Where
Vestibules.
Whatever. What's happened when I'm hosting? Suddenly I'm like, this sounds like a different person. But where your nose might hit the other side.
Oh
yeah.
So that's
that does
annoying.
happen, yeah.
So, maybe it's that. I had a really nice mug when I worked. I worked in a team where there's a lot of tea making. It was a proper team. You sit at your desk all day, every day, rounds of tea flowing. And someone nicked my mug. Actually, no, they nicked it after I left the team. I left the mug in the team.
Someone inherited your
Someone
mug.
inherited my mug because it was a good mug. And then they told me, I said, "Oh, you still using my mug?" And then they said, "No, someone stole it." And I was, to be honest, I was livid. I didn't even try and find out who did, but I did march around the floor to see. I'm going to find
Who's got
someone.
my mug?
And what would I have done if I'd seen them? That's my mug. I don't know.
Should have picked the mug up and smashed it on the floor.
Yeah.
Now no one can have the mug.
And then
You've ruined
shipped
it
them
for
with the
everyone.
broken shards. I'm not condoning that.
That's not our advice.
No.
I have had mug-related dramas at work. Right? When my company, right, when we joined, I don't know if everyone has this, but they gave everyone a mug that has welcome and then your name on the mug. Literally, the mug has your name on it.
That's good, isn't it?
And people used my mug who weren't me. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Were their names also Liam, though?
No.
Oh.
I'm like, what are you doing? Are you going in there? Are you looking at that? Are you reading it at all? Or are you literally just picking up the
Now,
first
did
one
you say
see?
this or did you sieve quietly?
I sieved very quietly.
Very quietly. It was the quietest I've ever sieved.
But there was one other Liam there. And I remember walking...
Was it Liam with a C?
Liam with a C. I remember walking to his desk just to have a sneaky little gander to
See if he had 2 Liam mugs.
Is my mug there? No, it wasn't him. So it was someone else who wasn't called Liam.
I think we can...
Unforgivable.
We seem to all agree that we think it's out of order to nick the mug.
I just don't understand, it happens quite a lot in offices, doesn't it? People steal petty little items, and it's like, why? What is wrong with you? Like, you could go and get one of them from somewhere else.
And I've witnessed a lunch eating, someone eating someone else's lunch in a fridge.
fuck? Oh my God.
How is that like... Who...
My sandwich!
Exactly. Who the fuck does that?
That is so weird.
Yeah. I'm hungry.
How do
There's
you know
so
that
much
they
here.
haven't laced it with something as well? What you're eating isn't the product of...
Do you often lace your lunch?
Well, exactly. Like,
On the off chance
what
that
if I
someone
was
will
a-
eat it?
No, but what if I was a drug addict and I liked, in my ham sandwich, you know what, I'd spice this up? Nice bit of cocaine.
LSD.
I love tripping balls in the afternoon.
But, as we know, Liam's a bit of a purist now. He just loves ham and LSD.
Don't even have bread anymore.
Who's got a strange little face?
Don't look at me. I've got a big face.
I did have to restrain myself from saying Carl.
Strange little face.
Stuart
Little.
Smeagol.
Okay.
Stuart Smeagol.
Stuart Smeagol.
Stuart Smeagol is... I'm going to kick off, though, with a pop quiz, asshole.
Oh.
Because I'm going to be talking about 2022's Batman today.
That's a very recent film.
Can you
Carl.
imagine? Yeah, this is...
Is this the most recent film we've ever talked about?
It's still running in the
recent-
cinema.
It might be the most recent piece of art.
At time of
we've ever
recording.
At time of recording.
At time of air, it will have been 3 years old.
Yeah, it's on Sky Movies. And I thought, you know what? There's we've probably got a lot to say about Batman. We're all big fans of all the media associated with Batman. So I thought I'd do a little higher or lower Rotten Tomatoes ratings of 15 of the Batman films and shorts and animation. You up for that?
Oh.
I'm well up for that.
Animated, live action, and all categories are included.
Well, there's the TV movie, some of the animated, not all of them.
Okay.
All the ones that are on Rotten Tomatoes, essentially.
Is Lego Batman included?
Oh, maybe.
Oh.
I've never seen Lego Batman.
Have you not?
Is it good?
We'll find out in a minute, shall we?
It's really good, but I don't know whether it's better or worse than the one before it. This quiz.
All right, so 1966 Batman, the movie based on the historic TV show.
That's got to be lower.
Higher than 0, I reckon.
No, I reckon lower.
Right, so Aaron, you go first. Is it certified fresh, which is over 51%?
I'm going to say yes, because it's a fan favourite and it had...
Adam West?
Adam Wee.
Adam Wee. And it's just... it's kind of like... People like it ironically, don't they? Because it was so cheesy.
Yeah.
And it was intentionally so. Like, they had the shark repellent spray and stuff, didn't they?
It was certified fresh at 79%, which is good. So Liam, the next on the list is 1989's Batman, directed by Tim Burton. Higher or lower than 79%?
I think it might be lower.
You're correct, 72%.
Yeah, that would have been my guess. I would have thought it would be even lower than 72. They get a bit of a rough ride, I think, the Tim Burton ones.
Well, Batman Returns, 92. Higher or lower than 72?
Which one was-
Lower, I reckon.
Higher.
Higher.
80%.
Oh.
So Aaron's lost a life.
What
Liam.
happens if I lose all my lives? Do you shiv me with a mug, a broken mug?
You will lose your life. Liam, Batman Forever, 1995. Higher or lower than 80%?
So I really, really liked this film.
Yeah, me
but I've
too.
got a feeling it's probably lower than 80%.
Is it certified fresh, do you think?
I think it is. That's 50%, yeah?
51%
51.
more,
I think
yeah.
it probably is.
40% certified rotten.
Hell, that's
Yeah.
terrible.
But I've got
Is that
fond-
audience score or critic score?
critics.
All right.
But I agree with you. I really liked it.
The audience score must be higher.
Yeah, I haven't got that to hand. I'm sorry. All right, so Aaron, next is Batman and Robin from 1997, the famous George Clooney nipples film.
I'm going to say higher.
Lower.
Oh,
12%.
12%. Shit.
That was the Arnold Schwarzenegger and Uma Thurman one, wasn't it?
Yeah, Mr. Freeze.
I thought it was going to surprise me. You know, it's
Yeah.
people know it's shit, but it wasn't that shit.
I always remember Robin going, this actually might be Batman Forever, you might be able to correct me, where they're on like a little wine and he goes,
Holy smouldering work, Batman.
yeah, he goes, these rugs, they're holy. It's so fucking terrible. So then, that's 97. Fast forward 8 years, no Batman for 8 years. Batman Begins in 2005. Where was he?
Do you think Batman Begins is higher or lower than 12%?
Whose goes it, Liam?
Is it my turn or is it your turn? It's your
it's my
turn.
turn.
Yeah. What do you think,
For
Liam?
fuck's sake, he's got all the easy ones.
I think it might be higher.
You're correct. 84% Batman Begins. And I think we all agree, a great film. So next would be The Dark Knight 2008. Higher or lower than 84?
Higher.
84%.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the same. I'll give you that. The Dark Knight Rises 2012. Higher or lower than 84%? I didn't realise we waited 4 years for the next
It's got to
one.
be lower. It's got to be lower.
Higher, 87%.
Is it really?
Interesting, that, isn't it?
Disagree. Hard disagree.
After that, we got 2016 Batman The Killing Joke. Aaron, animated.
What was the last one?
87.
87.
Killing Joke is the one where Robin's killed, isn't it?
Yeah, by the Joker.
I reckon that'd be really
Not
popular.
if it's true to the Killing Joke.
Oh, maybe not.
Oh, is it
comic.
not? Oh, is it? It's the one where he shoots Barbara Gordon.
Yeah.
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 This is difficult because I think it's critically acclaimed, but is it more than 87? Lower.
Correct. 36%.
Wow.
36%. I knew that the comic was critically acclaimed. I didn't even know that it had been made into an animated version.
We're getting into shaky territory now. Same year, 2016, Batman vs Superman, Liam. Higher or lower than 36%?
I never saw this, but I know that a lot of people absolutely hated it. So I'm going to say lower.
You're correct. 29%. It's because they're having a fight. Superman's about to kill Batman, essentially. And then he goes, my mom was Margaret too, or something. Martha. No, was it Martha?
Yeah, I can't remember what he says. It's something like, tell Martha I loved her, or something like that.
Which is
something
his mum.
shit.
And then Superman's all like, that was my mom's name too.
That's why
And then he
doesn't
stops killing him. It's honestly dog
brilliant.
shit. Yeah. There's Zack Snyder, which I'm sure we'll talk about. So after that, 2017, next year, Lego Movie. Higher or lower than 23?
Oh, way higher.
How high do you think?
I'd guess 78.
90.
90!
Ooh.
And I'll tell you now, it's the highest rated Batman film.
Sounds like I need to watch it.
It's excellent. It is really good.
So
I
that
don't
was
know if I'd put it above the Nolan trilogy, for instance.
Maybe kids are rating it. Kid critics.
Yeah, I suppose it's got a wider appeal. hasn't
Everyone
it?
can watch it, yeah. So it makes it easy for you, Liam. Justice League 2017. Higher or lower than 90?
Oh, it's got to be higher. No, lower.
39%. Aaron, 2021. Zack Snyder's The Justice League. Higher or lower than 39?
What are you saying? The
The
Snyder
4-hour
cut?
cut, yeah.
Higher or lower than 49? Higher because it's got all those rabid fans who...
71%.
Yeah.
Have you watched it?
No, I
haven't
can't
seen the
spare
original.
4 hours of my life
Yeah.
to see a better version of a shit film.
I've done that. And it's all right. There's some good stuff in it, but
Is it better than the original?
yeah,
the good
I remember the original being really bad.
Is the good stuff that's there, was that not present in the original? Was
No.
that added? Oh,
Yeah,
right.
some of it was. Yeah,
So the Snyder Cut was worth it just for that?
no.
No.
Last one. 2022's The Batman. Liam.
I
Higher or
know.
lower than 71?
Yeah, I know the answer to this. It's 80 something, isn't it?
86.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Liam doesn't approve. Listen to that tone of voice.
the
We'll get onto that.
the third best rated Batman film. So I'm going to talk about that film because I saw it recently. I got berated into seeing it by my two co-hosts, and ended up going on my own to see it because the run was about to run out and I couldn't have not seen it at the cinema. So, I mean, last episode, Liam mugged people off for going to cinema alone. There I was. And I was quite happy. I was in there.
To be fair, I almost went to see it alone because my wife wasn't feeling well, but at the last minute she said, it's okay, I'll come with you.
You was like, please, please. Where are they? Where's the cinema? It's only the second film I've ever seen on my own.
What was the first?
The Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies.
I fell asleep during that.
Yeah, it wasn't very good. So the plot is, it's early Batman. He's been doing it for 2 years. R. Pats plays the brooding, moody, young Batman.
Do people actually call him R. Pats?
R. Bats.
R. Bats.
R. Bats. Only in the north. R. Bats.
R. Bats.
You're seeing R. Bats in the new film.
So, but R. Bats, we talk about Robert Pattinson, of course. And it starts very neo-noir, doesn't it? He's talking about, this city needs me, but I'm not making any good. Oh, not making any good? I'm not really doing any good. I'm not making any good films. Crime is really high and I'm really bad and I'm just so upset about the whole thing.
For some reason my voice is a lot deeper when I'm doing the narration.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we can there's a lot of Batman stuff like that. Do you know, like where in I think it's The Dark Knight Rises. Yeah, no, where Catwoman disappears, he goes, so that's what it feels like. It's like, when I'm on my own, I've got to do the voice still, apparently. Yeah. And high-profile people are starting to be murdered in sadistic ways. Starts with the mayor, doesn't it? He gets...
Who's from Spooks, isn't he?
Is he? I
Yeah.
don't know, I've not seen Spooks. Not
British
watched it.
actor.
He gets his head wrapped in gaffer tape. Duct tape for you American listeners.
After it's smashed in with a hammer.
Yeah.
Hammer?
A carpet pulling up
yeah.
tall. Yeah. And his thumb gets cut off. And so Batman, at this time, he's not a hero. They don't know what he is. Like, the police are really skeptical of him, probably because they're all corrupt. But even the people aren't like he's a hero. They don't really know what to think of him. And Commissioner Gordon, he's not Commissioner, sorry, he's like Lieutenant Gordon at the time, is just a bit like, this guy, we need this guy. And he is like LA Noir on cheat mode. He just sees clues and like, huh? Just sees...
That sounded exactly like one of the soldiers from Metal Gear 1. Huh? Whose footprints are these?
Someone told me that they don't call him the Batman throughout the whole film.
They call him
Is that
Vigilante.
true?
Oh, Vengeance, they call him, yeah.
They don't call him the Batman once.
No, they say things like the Bat and stuff. But it seems like they don't say this, but he keeps saying, I'm Vengeance, and someone calls him Vengeance. It's like he's trying to... He's not settled on a name yet. It's like when we called our little dog Growler for a little while, and then realised that was a shit name.
And also a a euphemism for vagina, or dysphemism.
So he become Buddy. I clocked that, because he kept saying, I'm Vengeance. I'm like, you can't get Vengeance to pull off.
You can't pull off the Vengeance.
No, but I didn't take that as that is my name. I thought that was I am a manifestation of vengeance.
But the Catwoman lady keeps calling him Vengeance.
Yeah.
As well.
But I thought that was like a sarcastic thing.
Could have been. So a number of these people start dying. There's letters left for the Batman, actually. So the Riddler calls him Batman. Sorry, spoiler, it's the Riddler.
I mean, we should probably point out there's probably going to be quite a lot of spoilers in this episode.
Yeah, we're going to spoil the whole thing. Sorry.
They're in the pre-episode warnings anyway, so...
Yeah, that's true. And the Riddler leaves clues for the Batman. Like, he does follow the clues, and you have to find them. But they're quite obvious in some cases. Like in the first one, it's like his thumb's missing. And then there's a cipher. And Andy Serkis, who plays Alfred, who I quite like him as Alfred. I like his backstory. He says, my time in the circus, which means he has to work for MI6. So it gives him a little bit of credence that he kind of knows what he's talking about.
Or an actual circus, like Robin.
Or he's a clown, yeah. Yeah. When I was a trapeze artist, I used to do these all the time. And then the cipher says, it's actually a bit of a misdirection, isn't it? Because you don't solve the cipher. If you get rid of all the ones you know, it leaves the word drive. And his thumb's missing. He's like, thumb drive, obviously. And they find a thumb drive in a car.
I thought they would have to go and watch the film Drive for the next clue.
That didn't explain anything. Yeah. So,
Ryan Gosling? Do I have to find him now?
where is he?
I'm not ready for his big move.
yeah, so basically the film is about, what I really like about this film is that it's quite tight in that it's Batman solving a mystery that does blow out of like kind of superhero proportions with flooding and shit and people dying. But it's not so like philosophical as the Nolan ones, like this city needs a hero and I don't need a white knight, needs a dark knight, blah, 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 blah. Which I love these films, by the way. I absolutely love them.
Sounds like you hate them.
But I'm kind of like, we talked about the 1966 movie, which I haven't seen, I'd admit, but we all know what the show was like. And it kind of made me think, actually, Batman spent probably half of its life in print as camp. And Tim Burton gave us a dark one. But it wasn't like, I'm going to return Batman to his dark roots. It was like, I'm going to Tim Burton this up, wasn't it? Like, I think. And then Nolan goes realistic. Everything is explained in a realistic way. It's all science, it's all technology. And this one kind of returns to a middle ground. Like, it's a camp superhero film, but gritty and dark, which I really liked about it. And I think Gotham is, I think this is the best Gotham we've seen in terms of cinematography and looking. Like, it looks shitty, but it looks modern.
For a minute there, I thought you were going to talk about the TV series Gotham.
Gotham is the best Batman thing that's ever been put out. They haven't even got the rights to Batman or something, although the Joker, they don't call him the Joker in Gotham, do they, or something like that?
Oh, really?
No, they haven't got the rights to call him Joker, yeah.
To be honest, you don't really notice.
I've not seen it at all, I must say.
I didn't really like Gotham.
No, it has some good ideas, I think, but it's so like, it's that period of like low budget TV where it's like they don't realise what's possible sort of thing, and it's just a bit lame in places.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. That's what I don't like about it, and that's what turned me off Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. immediately as well.
Just
It's
throw
all a
away,
bit,
is it?
Yeah, it's all a bit TV. When
don't-
you can make film quality stuff on TV now,
Yeah.
there's no
Well,
reason that you
like-
shouldn't.
Loki, WandaVision, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like 10-hour films, aren't they, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you use the Batman's advice and investigate, but I'm interested to see what you think of the film, because I know you've both seen it as well. And
Yeah, I loved it like you did, Carl. I thought it was great. I thought it was breath of fresh air, as you say, after the Nolan ones, because obviously they're always going to be the example that every other Batman film is held against, aren't they, for a long time.
But Batman's kind of secondary in it, isn't it? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you could take Batman out and it be Vigilante Man.
Vigilante Man. Yeah.
But Batman makes it brilliant, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, but this new one. So obviously they were excellent, and it doesn't take anything away from those, but they needed to go in a different direction so as not to be accused of trying to be that. And the direction they needed to go in needed not to be anything like Justice League and Batman versus Superman, all that cheesy shit. And I thought they did a really good job.
Yeah, I agree.
Liam, what did you think?
I don't want to rain on the parade, guys. I really don't. I think the big difference between me and you, both of you, what's the difference between me and you? Is
About 5 bank accounts, something and 2 vehicles.
2 vehicles.
that I think both of you have come out of this recent experience of seeing Batman vs Superman and seeing Justice League and being like, this isn't the Batman we want to see. And I haven't experienced that at all. And I don't want to name any names, right? But before I saw this film, there were a few people, some of them might be in the room, who made me feel like, oh, this was a brilliant film. You're really going to enjoy it. And I just went to see it, and I just thought it was all right. You know, it was all right. I didn't think it was amazing, and that's the big thing. I tell you, but there were a couple of things I did like. Like Carl said, I like the idea of a Batman film that's like a detective story, because we haven't really seen that before. I don't think.
No, and Batman's first comic was Detective Comics. I
Yeah,
believe,
that's what
wasn't it?
DC stands for, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Mm.
Oh, I should have put that together really strong.
And yeah, but like you say, it's kind of a lot more close to the comics, isn't it? And I really like the theme. There's like a theme of irony in there that it was the Batman who inspired the Riddler to commit all of these atrocious crimes, and I thought that was really good. And yeah, like I say, I didn't hate the film. I just wasn't blown away by it. And there's a few things that bother me. For starters, it's a very long film.
It's a bit too long.
I love long films.
Do you? This really surprises me because you hate long books.
Yeah, but a long film is still over in 3 or 4 hours, where a long book takes you months.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I didn't get enough compensation for my 3 hours of sitting in the same place.
I was thinking about this because I did think it's a little too long, but I was like, but did it bother me? And I don't think it bothered me because what you'd cut out is a little imagery of Batman like standing above the city and stuff like that, which is all really nice stuff.
Which is indispensable.
But I compared it to like No Way Home, which is like also a really long film. It's not quite the same length, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
And during that,
Spider-Man.
Yeah. And during that, you couldn't have paid me to leave the cinema. I was absolutely glued to it. I loved every second.
Leave Liam. I'm glued.
If you'd have offered me like 20 quid during the Batman, I might have taken you up on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just didn't feel that invested, you know. And I think that was the core of it. Like, I just didn't really feel much. Like, it was all obviously meant to be quite moody. You had like, you know, the intro with Nirvana in the background, and that kind of bookended the film, didn't it? All this eyeshadow.
I actually like that a lot,
Yeah.
the eyeshadow, because I got like proper emo Batman, but it's the first time I've seen that, and I think it's in some of the comic films.
And got an erection.
It's the first time I've seen that and was like, "Ping." But like you've got to cover the skin that you can see through the eye holes in black, otherwise you see
So how do you do
white.
it? Yeah.
So it just makes complete sense.
Yeah.
The others had to have done it, but just we didn't see it.
Also, you mentioned Alfred earlier, and I don't. This is another part of the problem. I don't remember a great deal about it. I don't think he was on screen that much, was he? Like he was in. You say he was in the bit where they were doing some of the detective work.
Yeah, he got blown up.
Well, that's it. Like
Whenever
I'm
he
pretty
goes
sure
back to the Batcave, he's always there with him, isn't he?
he didn't say much, though, did he? I'm pretty sure he was in there for like 3 to 5 minutes max before he got blown up. And then they're having this heart to heart in the hospital, and I'm like, why am I supposed to care about this? I don't even know who this guy is.
I reckon
the fact that-
Liam fell asleep for some of it.
I think he did. Yeah, good. He was definitely more than that.
I mean, I do have a track record. But no, I was like, I was a bit like, I really like the character of Alfred from the comics, from the other films, but I didn't really feel like the film gave me a good reason to care about him. I reckon, because when you were talking about all the other Batman films earlier, it did make me realise a bit that actually there's not many really good ones. This probably is up there with the best, isn't it? But
By default.
I reckon give it a few years, I'll watch it again without all that expectation. I might enjoy it a bit more. I'm so happy now because my problems have been solved. I found this podcast. It helped me with my worst of woes. Now there's nothing in the way of the happy life I've chased so long. The only problem left is I don't know how to write happy songs, but I'm so happy now. Yeah, I'm so happy now. Yeah. Whoa, dudes, I found a new chord.
Well, what you just said about No Way Home, maybe this is a good point to compare the two universes.
But watching No Way Home and Batman in close succession, like I was thinking about this a lot, and the biggest problem is what you said, Liam, that you've got the Justice League, you've got Ben Affleck hanging around, we've got The Flash coming out next year with Michael Keaton reprising his role as Batman, we've now got Arbats as Batman, we've got Christian Bale that's up there as like the best Batman ever. It's just too many people doing different things, whereas Marvel is a tight... They know what they're doing up to 2026, and they know how everything's going to go, and every film contributes to that. They've got one vision, one story... and
WandaVision.
One division, yeah. Whereas DC, they went another... Like, you've got... I think, is it Kevin Feige, his name, or Feige? He's like the top of Marvel, but every director gets their own...
Yeah.
Every film's directed by someone else, whereas they were like Zack Snyder. Like, I don't know whether it's his idea or DC or Warner Brothers were like, we want a universe, and they gave the vision to one director who doesn't make many great films.
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot to be said for Marvel's approach, but their films are all following a formula, basically, aren't they? They're all the same film.
Whilst they are formulaic, I thought the Aunt May dying scene was brilliant, and then the scene afterwards with them kind of consoling him. I think there's 3 top actors there. Like, they are really, really good actors.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't really mean it as a criticism. It is a little bit that, you know, they're all basically the same film. They've got the same story beats and stuff, really, but done in different ways. And they're all very funny, very well produced. As you say, it's such a cohesive... You think, why can't DC just manage to create a cohesive universe of films with all of the characters they've got? But at the same time, I think if they did, you wouldn't get... Like, you get a lot of shit from DC, but then you get things like this and Joker... Stuff that would never come out of Marvel because they wouldn't take a risk like that. Yeah. And not because they're risk averse. They've taken risks and stuff, killed off characters and stuff like that.
I think that was another comparison I couldn't help making. Joker was such a good film.
Yeah.
The whole way through it, I remember just feeling so uncomfortable. Yeah. And it's just so well done. Whereas when I was sitting in the Batman and I just couldn't help comparing. I was like, it's a similar sort of theme. It's supposed to be dark as well, but it's just they just haven't.
I can imagine Joker existing in that universe though, as well. And you could see it as he's only been doing it for 2 years. He's not really met any. The Riddler's his first real supervillain, who I think also was quite scary. The Riddler.
Yeah, he was quite a good character.
I thought he was really good, and Paul Dano's a really good actor as well. I got a bit of a vibe from I don't think either of you would have seen this film. It's a film called 8mm with Nicolas Cage. And there's he has to delve into the SDMM world and snuff films where you kill you.
Yeah.
And the villain in it is a massive guy, muscle bound guy, and he's wearing a gimp mask with a zipped up. He goes into his house and there's kind of Slipknot-y type music playing. And it's so eerie, and he's wandering through the house trying to find him, or trying to find clues or whatever. And then the music starts skipping it's a record, and then he bursts out and fuck it, it gave me that vibe. But it's
well, I thought it was really similar to Seven, the Batman. I thought basically the whole way through I was thinking, this is Seven if they made it a Batman film. Yeah. Even some of the scenes were just identical. Them going through the Riddler's apartment, spoilers.
Yeah,
reading the crazy journals that he's written. That was a scene in Seven, and it was done almost exactly the same fashion, where they're reading about John Doe vomiting all over someone on the tube. Do you remember in Seven? Yeah. And stuff like that. And they were definitely trying to imitate the feel and the crime scenes. When he was walking into the scene with the mayor, it felt a lot like when they were walking into the Gluttony.
Yeah. It's a really
scene in
really good
Seven. Soundtrack, very similar. You'd know about this, Liam. You've got ears.
I don't know if I do know about this, because I'm sure I've seen Seven, but it was such a long time ago.
It was, I don't know if the whole soundtrack was by Trent Reznor, but they certainly used Closer for the intro, and I think it was a remix. It wasn't the original.
So yeah, I do remember
hearing... Make it sound a lot dirtier, basically.
I do remember hearing saying about this, because it was uncredited when it came out.
Oh, really?
And but there's kind of been the implication over the years that they did it without asking, but there was an interview with Trent Reznor where he said they phoned him up about it, and he didn't even let him finish the sentence. He was like, yes, because he loved the director so much.
All right, well... Friend of the show, David Fincher. Yeah, so I thought it was very similar to Seven, and Seven is obviously excellent.
It's a great film. If you had to pin me down with an apple in my mouth and say, give me a criticism, I'd have to say, take the apple out first. The car chase scene is a bit ridiculous, where he's chasing a penguin.
I loved that Batmobile though. That was
the Batmobile was sick. But for Batman who doesn't kill anyone, he must have killed quite a few civilians. So there's explosions all over the place.
Yeah, because that was a big criticism of Justice League, wasn't it? Was it Justice League? Where he was killing people basically with a gun.
Yeah.
And I think people have said there are loads of comics where Batman kills indiscriminately.
Yeah.
Doesn't worry about preserving human life. It's a bit of I think it's a bit more of a modern thing in films. Where
I think in the comics, he started out not, and then did, and then went back to not. There is I think it's in this one where they say he doesn't use guns because his parents are killed with a gun. So there's that one. I don't use guns, but then he also
I use my car instead.
yeah, my fists in your face.
But I think the same thing about we watched Iron Man the other
Dying
day.
Man.
Iron Man.
Oh.
Dying Man.
I wish I was dead.
And they're smashing through traffic and stuff. And
Oh, they don't care in the MCU though. Like in Captain America, he kills loads of people.
yeah, Iron Man does kill people, no worries. Criminals. But you think a lot of collateral damage here
Yeah.
from the fights you're having.
Hence Civil
So-
War.
Yeah, but they don't care about it until then, do they? Sokovia. Oh, by the way, you dropped a city. Like, we're happy you smashing cities. We're dropping cities? Fucking hell, guys. So I watched, after this, it kind of made me want to see some... Or, well, not read, because, I don't read. But
You can't read.
I can't, no. In fact, I watched Batman Year One, which is the only book Aaron has ever bought me.
Really?
Because it's got lots of pictures in it.
And you like looking at the pictures, don't you?
I don't know what the words are, but so I watched Year One, like the film version. Absolutely fantastic. Have you seen it?
No, but the comic is...
Bryan Cranston plays Lieutenant Gordon in it.
Oh, really?
It's brilliant. Yeah, and it's basically it's about Lieutenant Gordon. It's not about... I can't really remember the comic. I did read it, I promise. But it's really good. I'll recommend it. And I watched Return of the Dark Knight, the Frank Miller...
Dark Knight Returns?
Yeah.
Dark Knight Returns, yeah. No, Return of the Dark Knight?
Return of the Jedi, Dark Knight.
Where he's old Batman, isn't he? And that actually, where you said earlier that he kind of brings out the Riddler, in that, Batman egotistically coming back because he thinks the city needs him, brings back supervillains, brings back the Joker who starts killing hundreds of people. And it's quite anti-Batman, I think, actually.
Early on in development, Matt Reeves did want the film to draw on quite a few of the things. The Year One was one of them. There was also 0 Year, which is where the Riddler's plot to flood Gotham comes from. That's by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. But early on in development, Matt Reeves wanted the film to draw on The Long Halloween, which you bought me as a hardback.
You bought me.
Did I buy you
Carl
this?
bought it for
bought
you.
me.
And you bought it for me.
Did you give it to him?
No, I've still got it.
We bought you a really nice one.
So maybe I really liked it and gave it to Liam. No, I mean really liked it, so I bought it for Liam.
Oh,
so I've
okay,
still
right,
got your
yeah.
copy.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Or maybe I bought it at Comic-Con.
I use it to wipe my ass with.
Because we went to Comic-Con, didn't we? And I bought a
Yeah.
few comics then. Might have bought it then.
Aaron probably
Right.
made you buy it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you read it?
Yeah.
It's
I've
very
read
good,
it like
isn't it?
twice,
Yeah.
at least.
It's the story of a mysterious killer named Holiday who murders people on the holidays. Yeah.
I definitely got this vibe when I
Oh
was
my
watching
god,
it.
it's the Maybank holiday murder.
Mayday.
But there are cameos from all the major villains, like Poison Ivy, the Joker, Two-Face, Riddler, Scarecrow.
I did briefly think, wouldn't it just be better if they just did that plot line? And then I thought about how they'd have to do all the villains, and I thought, no, probably not.
Yeah. If you're going to put that many people in it, it might be better as a series.
You'll
Like,
need
you know,
the
TV series.
MCU to do it, like Avengers.
Yeah.
Now that was by Jeff Loeb
I know that name. But I don't know
and
that
Tim
name.
Sale.
Is
Jeff
it Loeb? I thought it was Lieb. Loeb.
Maybe Lieb.
Is it Jeff with PH?
Yeah. Jeph.
My name's Jeff.
Did you get that
He
from
just
him
wants-
saying it?
Yeah, the way he said it, he's pronouncing Jeff.
He wanted his name to be as complicated as possible, didn't he? JEPHLOEB.
Jeff Loeb.
Sorry, Jeff, if you're out there listening to this podcast. You recognise that name, Carl, because as we were talking about off air, this world seems to be incredibly incestuous. He was a producer on Lost
Oh,
I've
And
got
the-
a theory,
and a writer on Heroes.
that there's that game, isn't there, the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon? I think there's a similar thing for Lost. I think you can get back to Lost from
Yeah.
anywhere.
I reckon so.
well,
yeah.
in The Dark Knight Returns, the Joker is played by Ben Linus.
Is he
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, which is his name is Michael. Someone or other. Michael Emerson plays Ben Linus. It seems all right. It does seem a bit off because I was expecting Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill's Joker is so good.
Yeah.
In list of who played the Joker, he's either swapping one or two with Heath Ledger. Usually, like
Yeah.
he's either the the favourite or second favourite.
And listeners, if you don't know who Mark Hamill is, he is an actor who came to fame in an episode of The Simpsons playing a character called Luke Skywalker.
Mark, be a Jedi tonight.
Exactly, yeah, in Guys and Dolls.
Do it for Chewie and the Ewoks.
Yep, in the Bodyguard parody episode. And that character was so popular that it spun off into his own film called The Star Wars.
I think he did Robot Chicken as well, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So yeah, there was The Long Halloween, which I loved. It was very good. And also Dark Victory, which is apparently a sequel to The Long Halloween. And when I read that was a sequel, I was like, why haven't I read that? Went upstairs to my bookshelf and I've got it. So I must have read it because I've read everything on that bookshelf.
And you didn't buy it for me.
So I own it and I have read it, but I've got no memory of it. So I looked it up anyway. Apparently the plot centres on a series of murders involving Gotham City police officers by a mysterious serial killer known as the Hangman.
It's so weird, like this incestuous thing, because then you got Frank Miller, who wrote 300, which was Zack Snyder's directorial debut, who then went on to make loads of Batman films.
Yeah,
They basically all just really good friends, and they only ever work together.
Yeah, and like you were saying in the last episode about in the music business, it's who you know. Basically, the comic business now seems like you can't get in because they're all just mates.
Yeah.
You're not part of that crew already.
It's much like the podcasting business.
Yeah.
They're all just friends from school.
Yeah, that's why we haven't got famous yet.
Yeah, they won't let us in. But do you know, that also made me think about like Zack Snyder and problems with his films. Like 300, he said like that was so good because he shot it scene by scene in line with a comic book, and then he did the same thing with Watchmen, which is also a really good film. And I think if he sticks really closely to the source material, as we've seen with loads of media, he actually pulls it off. Because Watchmen, people don't like Watchmen, but
Yeah, I thought I liked it.
the people don't like it because it needs to be a less than 3 hour film. It kind of skips over some of the like more deeper themes in it.
Yeah, but if it was a 3 hour film, I would have hated it.
Liam would have been asleep for half of it. Woken up and gone, they haven't even introduced Alfred yet.
But then with like the other DC films, he's been given carte blanche to do what he wants, and it seems like he can't really do that. I think
I read that the year or the couple of years that I think it was The Killing Joke and Watchmen, and there was another huge, or maybe it was Dark Knight Returns, one of the big ones, one of the big Batman graphic novels, and Watchmen. That was when the comics all started to go darker. They all took a big turn. And it kind of revitalized comics. And then that was the kind of the beginning of a lot of superheroes going darker stories because people had got tired of all the campness like we were talking about earlier. And it had all become a bit stale.
I don't know if I mentioned this before, I might have done, but there was, did you ever read the Flashpoint Batman comics? I think it was like 2003 or something like that, somewhere around then, when DC did this big, like, event that affected all of the heroes. It was called Flashpoint, and it was something like the Flash changed the universe somehow, and it made everything different. I can't remember the details. And the Batman in those, it was like, I think it was a 5 comic run, or maybe 3, I can't quite remember. It is really dark, and the premise is that it was, instead of Thomas and Martha Wayne getting shot, it was Bruce that got shot. And Thomas Wayne is the Batman.
Oh, I thought it was going to be Martha.
should be Martha.
And Superman is just about to kill her, and she goes, "My name's Martha," and he goes, "So's mine."
It's really good though. I don't want to. There's something I could say that would really spoil it for you. So if you're thinking you might read it, then do read it.
All right. Do you remember Flash Forward?
From Lost.
TV show.
Yeah, it was a TV show that I think it might have been Jeff Loeb as well. Maybe, but it was only for one series, and I can't believe you don't remember it, Liam. I'm sure we watched it at the same time.
The Comic-Con.
The whole series.
What was it about?
Everyone on the planet went unconscious
I do remember that.
at the same time. Yeah. And you had a vision of yourself in 6 months, or you didn't, which meant you were dead in 6 months. It never got renewed, so no one ever found out.
Yeah.
So what did you think of this version of the Batman then?
Actually, I think I really liked it. I think it was campy enough. He's like inexperienced. He's obviously inexperienced as well. Because he gets beaten up a lot as well, doesn't he? Like,
I liked the way he was introduced, like the bit more brutal, the train station where
that was a
they're
great
about
scene.
to mug that bloke or something, aren't they, or stab him or something. And he just comes in and beats the shit out of that bloke, and they're all like, I think it was used in the teaser trailer. It was a really good introduction.
It was
to
quite a
it.
good scene
It was
because then the guy that he saved is like, "Don't hurt me."
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But they're not massively scared straight away, which shows that he's not quiet. But I do like in his intro where he goes like, "The shadows are my kind of, I can't be everywhere, so people are scared of the shadows." But yeah, it's I really like it. I think like it's good to see like a young apprentice style Batman just trying it out and getting things wrong.
Doing tasks for Alan Sugar every week.
You went out and you lost me money.
I'm looking forward to the interviews.
I'm sorry, Lord Sugar.
I liked him as Batman. I thought Batman was excellent. Bruce Wayne was a bit My Chemical Romance for me. And I love My Chemical Romance. But I did think, this is supposed to be an adult man, not a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did hear that Matt Reeves took inspiration for Batman's image from Kurt Cobain, which was quite surprising to me.
Who's that?
I don't know if you've heard of him. He was a bloke who got famous in the 90s for shooting himself.
I wish I could leave that in. I don't think I've got the heart to leave that in.
And what else did he go on to do?
So obviously he was the lead singer of Nirvana, and Something in the Way by Nirvana, we've already mentioned, is in that film. Bookends the film quite nicely at the beginning and at the end. And I know I said earlier that, yeah, all right, it was a bit much and I felt that it was a bit moody, but I do absolutely love that song.
How does it go? You're going to have to remind me.
Something in the way.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
See, such a great song. No, but it's a very sad song. And I do know a few people who are like, oh, I don't like to listen to music like that, it's too depressing. But I always think that's like the entire point of making music like that, isn't it? Because it's like, it's just pure art. You experience it and you feel something. And I just think it's really, if you can write a song that makes people feel like that, I just think that's so impressive.
Yeah, I like depressing people.
I did look into this song a little bit, see if there's anything interesting about it. I found a couple of things. For a long time, there was a perpetuating myth that it was a literal account of Kurt Cobain's experience as a homeless man living under a bridge in Washington. And the lyrics seem to support this because it starts with him saying, "Underneath the bridge, tarp has sprung a leak, and the animals I've trapped have all become my pets." So it's like an image of him living under a bridge with all these animals that he's trapped, but he likes them. So there's still
Animal sidekicks. It's a bit like a Disney film, really.
Yeah, exactly.
So how can that depress you?
And that led people to believe that it was about the Young Street Bridge in North Aberdeen in Washington, which subsequently has had many people spray paint references to Nirvana all over it. There's a few images online of someone spraying Something in the Way in like massive letters on it. And in 2015, they opened a Kurt Cobain Memorial Park nearby. But the myth was refuted in his 2001 biography by his sister Kim, who I learned existed. And she basically said that he visited the bridge a lot, like most of the other kids of his age, but he never slept there. I was also wondering if this song might have any advice for Stuart Smeagol, who we haven't talked to in a while.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm afraid it doesn't, Stuart. The only part of the song that seems remotely like advice is the line, "It's okay to eat fish because they don't have any feelings." I'm not sure that really helps.
If you get hungry on your hunt for the mug stealer, feel free to have a bit of fish.
I quite like that line though, because it feels like a bit of a dig at pescatarianism. And I've always thought it's a bit funny, isn't it, that people, I'm a vegetarian, but I fucking hate fish, so I'll eat them.
I seem to remember when I was a kid it being a big deal and it being on the news several times that there were studies that had found that fish can feel pain and studies that found that they couldn't. As if like, once we've reached a conclusion on this, guys, we can decide whether we eat fish or not.
Why would you assume they can't feel pain? Like they live in. I eat them. I do eat them. I've not got the issue eating.
Yeah, because you want to eat them, so you're like, Please tell me they can't feel pain, then I don't have to feel guilty
And they're
about
all
it.
like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, they asked someone. They asked the fish and he went,
That was a clear no from me.
what did you think of the villain? You liked him, didn't you, Carl? The Riddler.
I liked him. I thought he was quite gritty and a real good foil for Batman. Who
He was
kind
very,
of-
very creepy, wasn't he?
Yeah, and relevant to today, like the political movements you get in the US.
Yeah.
US especially, but I think worldwide.
And he was like on
but-
Twitch as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just had to like it was quite easy for him to like garner 500 people to go out and do his bidding, which seems scarily realistic. doesn't it?
Yeah. Apparently, Matt Reeves settled on the Riddler after reading Mindhunter inside the FBI's elite serial crime unit, which is written by retired FBI agent John E. Douglas and Mark Olshaker. Do you know about this book?
I know about the program.
Yeah,
I think it's
inspired
brilliant.
Mindhunter on Netflix. First 2 episodes of which were directed by a friend of the show, David Fincher.
Oh my god.
And which has been cancelled. This is devastating to me because I
Yeah,
fucking
I
loved
really
it,
loved
and
it
I
as well.
really wish that they'd
And they
just
were
finished
building
the
up
story.
to like BTK, weren't they?
Exactly.
Yeah. What's Holden Fort played by Josh Gad? Is it? No, what's his name?
Oh, Jonathan Groff.
Groff.
Yeah. I hadn't really I didn't know he was Kristoff in Frozen, and when I saw the Disney Plus version of Hamilton, I was like, "It's fucking Holden Fort from Mindhunter." he's a guy's a
Didn't he
comedian.
start in Glee? Did I make that up?
I think he was in Glee. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he was. Glee, the program where all the teenage kids were played by 28-year-olds plus. And the bit where he comes in, you're like, oh, right, so they're letting 40-year-olds in now. But,
The guy's a chameleon. He could literally do anything.
yeah.
He could be Kristoff. He could be a king. He
When
could
you
be
walked in
Edgar.
today, I thought it was Jonathan Groff playing Carl. So there was the Riddler, but there was also the Penguin. Now, when the Penguin was on the screen, did you know?
I knew because I knew Colin Farrell was in it.
I had no idea until you told me.
That's fucking mental, isn't it? The Penguin is Colin Farrell.
I could have easily gone through my entire life without knowing that.
Mad, isn't it?
And how would you feel on your deathbed if it was revealed?
If someone told me, I'd be like, oh my god. He's got his own theme, actually, the Riddler.
Yeah?
Did you know that?
No?
I don't mean like an 80s theme tune. It's the Riddler. No, I mean soundtrack-wise. The soundtrack, as I think you're probably aware, written by Michael Giacchino, who, I don't know if that's how you say his name, I've always said it like that. I assume it is. He had pretty big boots to fill, didn't he, doing Batman soundtracks?
Big Hans Zimmer back in the Dark Knight trilogy, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, Hans Zimmer, yeah. Danny Elfman in the Tim Burton films, who is just pretty good, isn't he? I mean, those are the two biggest names.
Chumbawamba,
Chumbawamba
in
in
the animated series.
1997.
Sure.
Yeah, so like I was saying, Giacchino wrote 3 kind of main themes, one for the Batman, one for the Riddler, and one for Catwoman. And throughout the film, they kind of interweave and play at different points.
That's a commonly done thing, isn't it? That, whenever the villain comes on screen, there will be a particular bit of music to remind the viewer, this guy is the bad guy.
They call it a leitmotif. It's a German word.
But it was more accentuated in this one, was it?
Well, to be honest, I didn't notice it at the time, but listening to the soundtrack, you can hear it if you're paying attention. According to an article by Variety, he was one of the first people brought onto the project because apparently he's a massive Batman fan. And he was so enthusiastic about doing the soundtrack that he wrote the main theme within a month of being asked about it, which is like pretty much unheard of in the film world. So they were like, oh, well, we can use this for the trailers and stuff. They wouldn't usually do that. So I was just thinking about that. I mean, can you imagine having a music maestro that delivers content in a timely fashion?
No, we can't. No, we can't.
Do you know, that's quite funny you say about trailers. I've never really noticed that they don't use the themes from the film in trailers before until Man of Steel, like the rebooted Superman with Henry Cavill, and they use the Death of Gandalf music.
Do they?
Yeah.
Cavill.
Would you say Kill the Ill?
Cavill, wasn't it?
Cavill. No, I know him. It's Cavill.
He's French, isn't he?
Yeah.
Cruella Cavill.
Henri Cavill.
Henri Cavill.
What'd you think of him, by the way, just on that topic?
Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
He's a good Witcher, isn't he?
I love him as the Witcher.
I love The Witcher,
I
yeah.
don't think I've...
I suppose he's quite easy to play Superman because he's kind of personalityless, isn't he? All he does is love Lois Lane.
He's such a twat, though,
and
isn't
he's
he?
perfect.
Superman.
Yeah, exactly.
You
He's
hate
such a
Superman.
twat.
And I disagree in a couple of ways. Because if you watch The Dark Knight Returns or The Return of the Dark Knight, whichever it was called, the Frank Miller one.
Is he in there?
He's in that. And basically, because he returns and Batman starts like fucking things up, the president is like, Superman, you have to go and kill Batman. Like, he basically sends Superman to either stop him or kill him. Batman somehow ends up letting a nuclear bomb go off. And it doesn't destroy them, but it cuts out all their like infrastructure. And Superman goes up to try and stop the bomb before it lands, and he gets completely fucked by it. Like, it turns into almost like a zombie.
Yeah, the comic culminates in a fight between him and Superman, basically, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then Green Arrow shoots him with a kryptonite arrow, Superman, because he works with Batman. And then
Batman says, my mum was Martha too.
well, he should have done, but then he goes, I just want you to know that I beat you. I'm the one that beat you. And then he has a heart attack. Superman goes, Bruce, your heart. He just goes, has a heart attack. And then they think he's dead. Have a funeral, and then he goes underground. And like he lets like a gang and Robin take over for him. But also, what I like in the Snyderverse, in the Justice League kind of remake that Zack Snyder did, the epilogue is a dystopian world that Superman is destroyed because Lois Lane got killed. And he becomes like a tyrant. And that I find interesting.
Yeah.
Because how about someone who's completely impervious but a bad guy?
Yeah, flips it
You're
totally
fucked.
in its head.
Yeah. But we don't really see that very often. We saw that that basically got cut from the Justice League. So Superman can be interesting, but we've never really seen it, I think. Apart
Still a
from
prick, though, isn't he?
Yeah, I think maybe.
Well, while we're on the subject, The Dark Knight Returns was ranked by IGN Comics as first on a list of the 25 greatest Batman graphic novels. They called it a true masterpiece of storytelling with scene after unforgettable scene. And that is the one, as I said earlier, I've clarified it now, which did give rise to the new darker versions of superheroes.
Right.
So
Yeah, I can see that.
pivotal story,
Yeah.
which does make Superman look like a twat, just like I said.
It does.
Did we interrupt you talking about the soundtrack, Liam?
Yeah, you did a little bit.
Back to Liam's soundtrack chat.
I didn't, because the point I was making actually was the Riddler's theme is heavily inspired by I want to say the hymn. Is it a hymn? Ave Maria, the song,
Yeah.
at least anyway.
Did they sing it in it?
They do. There's a choir that sings
yeah.
it, and he sings it at the end.
Yeah, it's really weird,
And
isn't it?
It's really weird. That's the really creepy bit. But I mean, in general, that soundtrack, as soundtracks go, as you might expect from such a long film, the soundtrack is also really long. It's an hour and 56 minutes of music. And the three pieces that are probably the most standout are the Batman, the Riddler, and Catwoman, which isn't called the Catwoman. That bothered me a little bit. It's the Batman, it's the Riddler, isn't it? The Catwoman? No, it's just Catwoman.
We haven't talked about her, but I thought she was brilliant.
Did you?
Yeah, she's
I really
very
liked
good.
it.
Yeah, I wasn't that bothered about her.
Liam really didn't like this film.
Were you asleep during her scenes as well?
Maybe.
Was the Catwoman in it?
The Batman theme is the one that's probably the most memorable. It plays a few times throughout the film. It's the one that goes dum 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 dum. Dum,
Yeah.
dum, dum.
That was very good, yeah.
And that
Do you think you can do a Agony Art theme tune version of that for this episode?
I'm going to have to think about that. Maybe that that recurring ostinato is quite similar to the chord sequence in Something in the Way, and someone pointed this out to Michael Giacchino in an interview, and he was like, "It's just a coincidence." The other one, Catwoman's theme, is inspired by old noir films.
The Aristocats.
Has a lot more of a jazzy film. There's like smooth piano in it. And there was also a sax at one point, but apparently that was a bit too jazzy. So they asked him to rearrange it and get rid of the sax.
Is that sax?
This isn't Baker Street. we were talking about The Dark Knight Returns before, and I thought well, in fact, I think we mentioned The Killing Joke as well, didn't we? By Alan Moore and Brian Bolland. The Killing Joke, Tim Burton is quoted on the cover of my copy as saying, "I loved The Killing Joke. It's my favourite. It's the first comic I've ever loved."
Wow.
Yeah. It's very short. The Joker escapes from prison, again, shoots Barbara Gordon, strips her naked, take photos, strips Jim Gordon naked, makes him ride a ghost train. These are all spoilers. While showing him the photos of naked Barbara Gordon, in doing so, trying to prove that anyone can go mad if they have a bad day, except Jim Gordon doesn't go mad and he just gets beaten by the Batman. And it also gives the Joker a backstory. Dead wife, failing comedy career, Red Hood heist gone wrong. But it doesn't offer any help to Stuart Smigel, and neither does The Dark Knight Returns. And this is the thing. What they tried to do in the video games, and what a few of the films have done, is kind of try and return Batman to that detective role. But sometimes he's just not a detective at all. He doesn't... A bit like James Bond.
Yeah.
James Bond does no spy work whatsoever.
He just kills who he said to kill, yeah. The villain usually reveals himself to James Bond as well.
Yeah, exactly.
A ranger came arranging to Old Town one fine day. The townsfolk came to meet him. They heard what he had to say. He said, "I hear this town's got problems, some outlaws on the run, and I've come to solve these problems with my problem gun." Word soon got to these outlaws about a ranger new in town, and they soon came out of hiding to put this ranger down. They laughed when they first saw him beneath the high noon sun, but he soon stopped them from laughing with his problem gun. Problem gun, problem gun. Yeah, the ranger solved their problems with his problem gun.
So apparently the soundtrack was done by someone called Michael Giacchino.
Oh,
you heard of him?
Fantastico.
No, he's done so much. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of him before. You know him from a few things, but we'll get to the things that I think you would name, because I just want to talk about the string of soundtracks he's got under his belt now since we first heard about him. He's done Incredibles 1 and 2, which are both amazing soundtracks. He did Up, of course, which is brilliant. Jurassic World, Doctor Strange, Rogue One, Coco. Oh, Coco.
Oh, Coco music is fantastic.
So good.
Fantastical.
Spider-Man, Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home. That's only naming a few. He's got a huge...
He's a busy
huge
boy,
CV.
isn't he?
He's a really busy boy. I think the first thing I knew him from, it wasn't the first TV thing he did, because before this he did Alias. But after that, he did...
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Lost.
Gotham.
Lost.
No
Lost.
fucking way.
Proving the point, everything comes back to Lost.
Yeah. Maybe we should do
A Lost special.
Yeah. Or just a regular pop quiz arsehole. Whenever someone mentions something, go, all right, relate it back to Lost.
By the way, I've finally started, maybe a year after you two started rewatching it, I've finally started rewatching Lost. We're just about to finish the first series.
You got a long way to go, haven't you?
Yeah.
My notes here say I totally didn't remember, and then nothing. So not sure what that was.
So, Liam, have we swayed your feelings on Batman any, or do you still have the same?
I think I feel a lot more open to the idea of rewatching it than I did immediately after I left the cinema.
Maybe without the hype.
Yeah, definitely.
Rewatch it to see.
Yeah.
I was a little bit disappointed when they kind of had a hint that the next villain will be the Joker.
Yeah.
Because I just think it's been done so well and so recently.
Yeah.
It needs to be left alone for a while, doesn't it? Yeah.
And
unless it was him.
exactly. Unless we got a strong hint, but it wasn't him. We know that.
Can you bring, I know you said earlier you think the worlds are kind of similar, but do you really think you can bring that Joker into a Batman film and have them both star in it?
I mean, it's the same sort of style of film, isn't it? I think they could coexist.
I think they could.
Just make it an 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That gives me the biggest problem that I had with this film, Liam, that it should have been, considering the level of violence they were going for, it should have been an 18 and there should have been blood everywhere.
Yeah.
Like at the end, he absolutely smashes someone's face in over and over again. Has to be pulled off him, basically, doesn't he? Like
I thought, when I was watching that, I thought, is this where like he turns suddenly, or like he crosses the line? And then the guy was like, ugh.
yeah,
I thought
they pull the guy's mask off and he hasn't got a drop of blood on his face.
He would have been pulp.
Yeah. And he should have been, because it would have shown the brutality, because that has always been like the ethical question about vigilantism, isn't it? That, you know, you're not elected to that position, and what about when you go too far? Who polices you and stuff? Whatever.
Yeah.
That would have shown, you know, he did just go too far. We saw it.
Yeah.
But then when you pull the mask off, because they wanted to keep it at 15 is my guess.
Yeah.
They were like, we can't have his face literally caved in. When they should have, really.
Yeah, I think I agree. They need to abandon the like no killing thing to a degree, just because.
Well, they could have kept him alive. Like, he says a line after that, doesn't he? Something like, I am vengeance. I think he says, I am vengeance, doesn't he? He still could have said it, but he could have had, like, you know, his face could have been mush, and he just, I am vengeance.
So, I mean, since you're talking about kind of the ethical side of it, I did forget to mention something earlier, which I really wanted to talk about. It was an episode of Lost, which I think might actually help Stuart Smeagol.
Maybe.
Who's probably sitting there at this point saying, when are they going to actually give me some good advice? Actually, I think all of our pickles are thinking that. So, yeah, in series 1 of Lost, I don't know, you might remember, because you watched it fairly recently-ish, there's an episode called Confidence Man, and it's the first episode where we hear about the backstory of Sawyer. And at that stage, you don't really know anything about Sawyer. He's like the bad guy on the island, and that's about it. And
he's quite a comical bad guy as well, like caricature, isn't he?
Yeah.
I
he
really
hoards all his stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah. I don't know. I remember when I first watched it, I really liked him, and I do still really like him, maybe for nostalgic reasons this time.
You grow to like him over the series.
Yeah, you think
This one helps, doesn't it? Because he gives him a bit of a. It's quite sad, his backstory.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but I'm not actually going to talk about his backstory, because the bit that's relevant from the episode is the plot line where the other islanders think he's stolen Shannon's asthma pump, and she's like acting like she's going to die. Maybe she is. I don't know how bad her asthma is.
Liam doesn't believe Shannon.
I don't believe in asthma.
Asthma's made up by Big Pharma.
And yeah, the other islanders are like, he's got it. Oh, bastard. So what do? They do what any sane person would do, and they get Saeed, the ex-Iraqi soldier, to torture him.
They shoves bamboo under his fingernails, don't they?
And after they do that, they eventually find out that he actually never had the asthma pump at all, and they basically tortured him for no reason.
Yeah.
And I think this
Are you
might
saying
be...
he should torture his co-workers?
No. I'm saying the opposite of this. I'm saying the advice from this episode of Lost, Stuart, is that you shouldn't rush to any conclusions and start torturing people for information, because they might be totally innocent. You could end up feeling very guilty about it, and then you might decide to leave the other plane crash survivors, and then you'll end up getting caught in a trap set by a mad French woman.
I'm caught in a trap.
You're right, Liam. He's not checked the dishwasher, is he?
He's not checked the dishwasher.
Fuck's sake.
I bet Liam's mug's in there as well. Welcome, Liam.
Well, on that note, sorry, Smeagol. What's his name again?
Stuart Smeagol.
Stuart Smeagol. I think we've got some advice for you in all that. It's investigate and don't overreact.
Yeah, investigate, but don't go too far.
No.
Don't torture anyone.
Or go too far just to show us you mean business.
Don't be scared of being rated 18.
No, exactly. But I'm really sorry, guys, and listeners, that it's my first hosting session, and I completely fucked the episode up because we've done one problem.
You didn't time it, did you? You let us go too far.
Yeah, because
You say we've done one problem. I'm not sure Stuart would agree with you.
We might have done 0.
So we've got two options. We can call it a day, or we can go on for 4 hours. What would you like to do, lads?
I think we should call it a day. I'm knackered and I've had enough of both of you, to be honest.
All right. Well, so if you had to talk about recommend one piece of media from today's episode, what would you say, Liam?
Watch Lost in its entirety.
Yeah.
Not Batman.
No, to be honest, maybe listen to Something in the Way by Nirvana. Or you could watch the Batman and then you can hear it twice. But it does take 3 hours, so maybe just listen to the song.
Aaron, would you recommend the Batman or a piece of Batman lore?
The Dark Knight Returns. Read that one. It's often at the top of people's lists of graphic novels featuring the Batman.
I would agree and watch. Actually, no, I'll go different. Watch Batman Year One, which is really good, and it's only an hour long. Liam, you might like it. Well, sorry to mess the episode up. I won't host again, but thank you for listening, and that's all we have time for today. Check the episode notes on agonyartpodcast.com to find links to all the media we mentioned today.
All the one media.
And for a link to the Agony Art Spotify playlist where you can listen to Nirvana. If you have a problem you'd like us to attempt to solve, you can reach us on our group Instagram and Twitter accounts at Agony Art Podcast or on the submission page of our website. I'd like to thank our resident Agony Arts for their contribution. Thanks, Liam.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
You're welcome. So that's what that feels like.
Where's the links? They're on our show notes. And thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with, I promise, more problems to muddle our way through and more entertainment to check out. See you later.
Bye.
No. Bye.
Perfect.
But I'd suggest keep it light, 'cause their advice can be shite, and they won't be held liable. Oh no, not at all, not here at Agony Art. Agony Art. Agony Art.